What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to LTQ Wrestling Crew YouTube channel. The Raw after WrestleMania is over. Sorry about the lighting, as always. I was debating on what to put as a thumbnail. Do I put Braun Breaker becoming a Paul Heyman guy, which was shocking? I guess it's a little shocking. Or do I put Randy Orton and Cena starting off another historic feud between those two? I decided to go with Randy and Cena, but it was definitely a 50-50. So John Cena kicks off the show. He's talking about, the fans and how he's the last real champion, how the fans have turned on Cody. They cheered him about finishing the story last year. Now they're booing him. That's exactly why he don't care about the fans anymore. He's over at this point. And sorry about my squeaky chair, but Cena had a lot of valid points again. I mean, he usually does. And he says the fans ain't sorry. Mentions he only has 27 appearances left. He doesn't have to wrestle on any of them. And then basically that's the end of it. Says he's the last real champion in WWE, and all of a sudden we see Randy Orton pop up out of nowhere, RKO's John Cena, looks to the title, stands tall above him, and that sets up Randy Orton against John Cena once again in WWE. Now you could debate whether, this should be Cena's last match against Randy. Could they have saved this for later down the line? Who knows? But I'm ready to see this. Now, I'm not all for nostalgia all the time. I think sometimes WWE relies a little bit too much on nostalgia. It sells tickets and gets fans into the show more and all that stuff. I'm all for this because this feud is one of the greatest feuds of all time, even though it was overdone for a long time. And it just happened too many times. It's been years since we've seen, I think since they had that Hell in a Cell match, I believe. I think many, many years ago, number one contender or whatever, maybe for the world title. But I'm ready to see this. Randy Orton, John Cena. It's going to be awesome, hopefully, because Cena and Cody was a letdown when it came to in-ring wise, but I think these two will do a little bit more, hopefully. But you never know with Cena. But all in all, great segment. Cena's great as a heel. Randy Orton is in a very important feud again. I wouldn't even be mad if Randy Orton was the one to beat Cena for the title. I don't know if they're going to do that. I think Cody potentially wins it back at SummerSlam. We'll have to see what the direction is. Speaking of championships, Liv and Raquel got the rematch against Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. Match wasn't bad, but just Liv and Raquel win the titles back. I'm a little confused about that. I know they wanted Becky to turn on Lyra. A lot of us saw that a mile away. And I'm all for that because that gives them a feud for the women's intercontinental title, which wasn't even defended at WrestleMania. Neither was Chelsea Green's championship. So I'm okay with that. But I'm not a fan of just flip-flopping the titles like that. I thought it was just unnecessary. And, it is what it is. I do think a lot of fans are hypocrites who are okay with Becky come back and winning a title, but then Charlotte, if she does that, fans are mad about it. You gotta have that same type of energy because Becky's had just as much success as Charlotte on the main roster. Obviously not as much championships won, but she's had tons of success herself, and just to come back and win a championship kind of sucks. We had a New Day segment. They come out talking about, how fans should be grateful and they should all be up on their feet and saying, thank God for the New Day. And then Alpha Academy comes out. When I heard their music hits, I kind of was just rolling my eyes like, man, this is Raw after WrestleMania. We can't do any better than this. They get ready to set up a match, and then you hear some generic-ass theme song that Def Rebel loves to do for everybody, and it's Rusev. He is back. Not really sure this is the best time to debut Rusev. Not the best, not really wise, but like, why during this? Like, why attack Alpha Academy? Like, I don't know. I didn't really understand that, but it's good to see Rusev back. Hopefully he does a little bit more here than he did in AEW, because AEW, he had a very weird run there, as I said before, was dominant, or he debuted as kind of a geek, then he disappeared, became dominant, then disappeared, then came back, then disappeared. It was just a weird run there. So hopefully the second run WWE is at least somewhat important. I don't expect him to win a world title or nothing, but we'll see. He pretty much takes out Alpha Academy, and that's the end of Rusev. We had Io Sky do a segment, and she's talking about how she's still champion. Then Stephanie Vaquer comes out, and the crowd pops. Stephanie Vaquer is great, and they end up leading to a match. Now, this match was incredible. For a Raw match, if y'all don't get a chance to check out the whole show, at least check out this match. This match was fantastic. I thought it was very good. It ends up ending in a DQ thanks to Roxanne Perez, who we haven't really seen since she had that feud with Bayley that got dropped. She's facing Vaquer tomorrow on NXT. And then Julia comes out, and they attack both of Io and Vaquer. And then you hear, "This is my brutality." And then Rhea Ripley comes out. She takes out Roxanne Perez. Her and Julia have a stare down. They tease that. Julia retreats, and then she helps Io Sky up, looks the championship, and that's the end of that segment. So we're definitely getting Rhea Ripley against Io Sky again. No Bianca Belair, which has been reported. Maybe she had a finger injury during that match, so maybe she'll be gone for a few weeks to kind of heal up, but we'll see. The next segment, oh my goodness. Talk about wasting time. Jey Uso has a celebration. He does his typical entrance, the yeeting, the crowd's into it. And listen, Jey Uso's over as hell to those live crowds, but I've seen a lot of criticism online for him. It's really a divide between the internet community and the crowd that goes there. And a lot of the fans who go to WWE shows are casuals. They don't really understand like the behind the scenes, or they just go to that just to watch. But he comes out there, he's talking about how he did it. He accomplished everything at WrestleMania. He made Gunther tap out. He gave his all during that match. I highly disagree. I didn't think the match was all that. And then Sami Zayn's music hits. And Sami Zayn's back. He hugs Jey. He's talking about how he's proud of him. And it looked like maybe Sami was going to turn on Jey. They didn't really tease it, but they had Sami kind of give looks of like potential heel turn, but he didn't do it. And then Jimmy comes out, and they all celebrate, and they made it look like maybe Jimmy and Sami were going to turn on Jey. And nothing happens. But it was a lot of wasting time during this segment. I mean, this was a long-ass segment and didn't really accomplish anything of relevance, really. I mean, it was just Jey out there yeeting and Sami and Jimmy out there with them, and that's it. But, man, this was a long and boring segment, at least to me. We had Gunther come out after that. He attacks Michael Cole. Pat McAfee pushes him off, and then he chokes out Pat McAfee. And he left his sleeper locked in on Pat McAfee for a minute. I mean, Pat McAfee was passed out. They help him to the back. He's coughing. He falls down. He can't even get up. And I made a post on Bleacher Report. It was kind of funny because there was a lot of likes and comments on it. And I was like, man, Pat McAfee sold better than half the AEW roster does. And it was kind of me being sarcastic, but also kind of serious at the same time, if that makes any sense, like, because he was. And maybe we'll get a Pat McAfee and Gunther match at SummerSlam, or maybe this is just them writing Pat McAfee off TV. He's always got stuff going on, like the Pat McAfee show and the college game day, even though college football is over right now, I believe. But, I mean, maybe Pat's taking a break again. Who knows? Or maybe this is setting up potentially a match because Pat's done matches before, so who knows? But very interesting segment right there. Going to be a huge fight on Gunther's tab there. And then we had Penta against Dirty Dom for the IC title. Match was okay. It wasn't nothing special. JD McDonough ends up returning. Good to see him back after that scary injury he had a few months ago. He helps Dom retain. Penta takes a clean pin. Hopefully this isn't the end of Penta's push because this was just a random loss. I don't even know why they even really did this match, to be honest. It was kind of just random as hell. But hey, it is what it is. We got a title match on Raw. Dom retains. He's still a heel, but the crowds are cheering for him like he's a baby face, so maybe he'll eventually break off from Judgment Day. In the main segment, Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and the crowd's chanting CM Punk. They're chanting OTC. They're chanting F Paul Heyman. And Rollins starts talking about how he won the main event. He's a visionary. He's a revolutionary and all that. And CM Punk's music hits. Now comes CM Punk. They get into a brawl. Punk beats him down in the corner, gets ready to beat up Paul Heyman, and Rollins beats him down, hits a stomp. And then Paul Heyman's hyping up Rollins, talking about Seth frickin' Rollins and all that. And then out comes Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns hits a spear on Rollins, and it's just him and Paul Heyman in the ring. And he hits a Superman punch on Heyman. He goes to the corner, does the ooh, wow. And out of nowhere, before he hits it, Braun Breaker spears the hell out of him. And Braun Breaker is now a Paul Heyman guy, the badass, one of the funnest wrestlers to watch in WWE right now. And he spears CM Punk as well. He gets Reigns outside the ring. Reigns hits like an uppercut, but Braun runs with his full speed and spears Reigns through the barricade. Rollins says, get him back in the ring. And he gets them both in the ring. Rollins curve stomps both of them. And that's the end of this segment. They stand tall. Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Seth frickin' Rollins. And I'm be honest, I love Braun Breaker being a Paul Heyman guy. I did a short a few months ago where they said like Paul Heyman was helping out Braun Breaker backstage with his segments, his promos, everything. And Paul Heyman, I think, said on ESPN today on the Pat McAfee show, I have a person in mind to be a Paul Heyman guy. And when he said that, I was like, Braun Breaker, maybe? And this is just awesome for Braun Breaker. It catapults him even to a main event story, potentially a main event spot right now. I think it's perfect for him. I think this is a well-executed segment, and it just elevates Braun Breaker. And I give Rollins a lot of credit, and Paul Heyman too. Like, both these guys ain't afraid to, like, elevate others. Like, we saw Rollins do that before with, like, Austin Theory and Murphy when they were in his group a few years ago. Like, Rollins wants to elevate others as well. And it's not that Braun Breaker needs elevated. He's great, but it's catapulting him to that main event level and that main event scene, which he definitely belongs in, how great he is. So credit to the segment here. I thought it was really well done. Make sure to like and subscribe for more wrestling content, and comment your thoughts below about anything on Raw you enjoyed. Peace.